Welcome to A New Breed of Golf Live. Michael Breed here inside the Morgan Franklin Transformation Center. Excited to be able to help you with your game on yet another Thursday as we get ready for the weekend. And there's a lot of things that we're going to touch on today. We're going to see some of your golf swings. And we asked actually for many of you to videotape your swings and send them in. We didn't get a chance to get to everybody's. Obviously, there was a lot of interest in doing that. So we're going to continue to do that through the remainder of the summer here. We still have 2 months left and a lot of golf in front of us. So we're excited to be able to help you with your swing. Today, we're going to talk about some of the things that you do in your address position that influence your golf swing. I'm going to show you some swings that are going to depict what we're trying to talk about, and then how you can solve those. Also, too, what we've got here, I've got my little practice station. We'll talk a little bit about that, and be sure to look for more videos on the practice station, because I'm really into this, and I'm really into helping people play better golf, including myself. And this is something that I set up in the studio all the time to help me play better golf. I'm going to show you how I'm using the practice station and how it can help you. And it doesn't take a lot of work. You know how I feel about PVC pipes. This is a very simple thing to do. Just you get a bunch of adapters, you get a bunch of PVC pipe, and you're going to need a PVC pipe cutter. And once you do that, you can set all this stuff up yourself. And by the way, if you have any questions, you can email me at anewbreedofgolf@michaelbreed.com. Before we get to what we're going to do today, I want to introduce a couple of people, and I want to tell you about a couple of things we got going on. First of all, and we sold a bunch of these today. I just got the green one today, because today we're going in the green, no question about it. But we've got 5 different options for you. These are blessed poker chip ball markers, $6. All you got to do is send an email to me at anewbreedofgolf@michaelbreed.com. I think we sold 4 earlier today, 3 in the lavender and 1 of the navies. We also, I had an individual who's a Navy SEAL, got a chance to give him one of those. Like military, I'm very, very particular with the military. I'm going to give you one of those. We're all going to support the military. So make sure you get to me about those ball markers. Also, too, if you want any of our hats, which we've got here, I've got the blue and the red, but we've got 4 different varieties. We've got the white. We also have the tan. If you're interested in that, send that email to me too. And then we have the putter covers, which are really, really cool. We've got for the mallet putter cover, this adapter goes like that. We also have them if you have a center shafted mallet putter cover, and it has my logo, or whatever you want to call this, my saying, "Let's do this," which I have trademarked, and proudly so. And then also too, we've got the blade, and they're magnetic. So we just take this thing, you take it off your putter, you hook it to your club, and it stays right there. There's no way that's coming off as you're driving around. So make sure if you're interested, you get one of those. Now, let me introduce you to the individuals that are going to be behind the scenes. Well, maybe one in front of the scenes, but behind the scenes, my friend Steve Gibb, and also too, Greg Ducharme. You hear Greg all the time, and that's we go again there. Yeah,
we talked about this.
These guys discuss what they're going to do, and then they've never. As long as we have been doing this, these 2 guys never practice this. They never go, okay, today we're going to get it right. They come in, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and the next thing you know, you see one guy with a high five and another guy with a fist, and you're going, you guys are doing it again. It's happening again. Anyway, it reminded me a little bit of the conversation that we were having on the radio show this morning. That was highly entertaining. But we certainly appreciate you coming and joining us today. Please tell your friends about what we're doing. Right now, we're at about 40,500 followers. We're trying to get this up to 100,000 followers, and we need your help. I need your help to do this. We're continuing to provide this free golf instruction to you, but I want to try to grow this. And then as we start to do this, we get some other companies that get behind it, and all of a sudden we can keep doing this, and we start our own, in effect, golf instructional channel that's live. We're the only one that's live right now that can broadcast to you and help bring this information to you so that you can improve and allow you a chance to ask some questions, which none of that is happening now. It just doesn't happen spur of the moment. So that's what we're doing. Now, let me get to the show. So here's what I've got. I've got my practice station that's set up, and you can see I got some pipes coming out of different places, and yeah, there's a good shot there. And even if you pan up a little bit there, Gibbsy, you can see this pipe right here. That would be a question. What is that pipe doing? We'll cover that in just a second. And then also, too, you'll see this right here. Now, if you go down the line there, Gibbsy, what you're going to see is that right there is going to be something that's going to be right in the middle of my backswing. So when I take this club back, if I take that too far inside, it's going to hit that right there. That's for me individually that I'm working on. So, but I want to walk you through what I've done with these and why this is such an important part of progress. First of all, if you go down the line, what you'll see is that there's a PVC pipe here and another one that's over here. I imagine that there's a third one that's going right down here, and this will go at the target. Now, one of the things that you need to understand about the target is not necessarily where you want this golf ball to finish as much as where you want it to start. So right now, for what we're doing today, go down the line shot. Yeah, so you can see this line right here is going down to that target there. And I may have just nudged that a little bit, but that straight line down to the target there, that's just where I'm going to start. Okay. If I said to you, I'm going to aim at that tree, it's really difficult to know which tree I'm aiming at. But if I have the target out there in the fairway, now all of a sudden I have a great opportunity of explaining to you where I'm positioning or why I'm positioning this practice station the way I have. Now, this pipe that's right here, this pipe is largely for the club face. So what I like to do is I like to put the ball on the front edge of that PVC pipe right there. And then I take the club and I put it in so that the leading edge is parallel. That's a great job, Gibbsy, zooming in on that. So it's parallel to that pipe. So now I know that club face is square. Now, for some of you, that might not look square. Sometimes what you'll do is you'll end up getting the leading edge confused with the top line. And you start paying attention to this line here, and you start getting that line parallel to the back edge of that PVC pipe. And if I do that there, now what's going to happen is this ball for me is going to go left. So you can see that ball start out to the left-hand side there. It jumps left right away. Doesn't really curve a lot, just jumps left. Now, I'm not a robot, so I'm not going to hit every single shot perfectly. But I know when I'm starting to get that golf ball to start left like that, and that even had a little bit of right spin to it. But when I started left like that, I go, yeah, you know what? My club face is closed. So, and that's what's been happening for me, by the way, over the last little bit. Club face has been closed. So I put this station together. I have that pipe right there coming out of there. And now I put my leading edge on that leading edge of the pipe. And now all of a sudden I look at that. I go, okay, that's square to me. Now it looks open, but it's square. And I know it because I verify it. And now I hit that shot, and all of a sudden that golf ball starts down the line of where I want. So I go, okay, I'm getting feedback from what I'm doing in my practice station. Very important for you to understand. Now, the next thing that I'm doing is I'm using this right here, and I've got a swim noodle on this. So just so you understand, when I take that off, that pipe is not very tall, but when I put the swim noodle on there, this is all swim noodle up here. So if I take this club back, and we'll go down the line, if you would, if I take this club back too far inside, I'm going to hit the swim noodle. It's not going to damage me or the club. It's just going to let me know, you know what? That's too far inside. And one of the things that I'm always working on is trying to make sure that when the club is going back, that when the club is parallel to the ground, that it's more or less parallel to this pipe right here on the ground, which is why that's over that. So when I'm here, the club is there. Now all of a sudden, I'm in a really good position, okay? So I just rehearse that. And now I make my swing. Club face is in a pretty good spot. And now all of a sudden my golf ball is starting at where I want it to start. Gregory, if you could give me a trace on that, because what that's going to do is that's going to show us that ball actually started. Go ahead down the line. You can see that started at the target, which is exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to start it at that target and then curve it off the target. Okay. All right. Now, next thing, this pipe right here. Now, this pipe right here serves two purposes. One, what I'm trying to do, yeah, I would back out of that. Yeah. So what I'm trying to do, go just bring two full, if you would, Gibbsy. Yeah. So what I'm trying to do with this is it reminds me that ball position is always an upper body thing. So when I get set up here with a 6-iron, I want this golf ball to be in front of the center of my body. And so this should be in the center of my body. So when I look down and I come right up from that, that thing is hitting me right in the middle of my chest. So that's right there. So now the golf ball is in front of that. For 6-iron, that's exactly what I want. If I go to a pitching wedge, that would end up being right there. So that would be dead middle. If I go to a driver, that's going to be up there. Well, what I like to do is keep that in that same position so that I can see the club face. And when I get to a driver, now all of a sudden I'm going, okay, where would that go? Well, that feels like that's hitting me right in my, just on the backside of my armpit. That's where I want my driver to be. And if I have a wide stance, it's still in the same spot. If I have a narrow stance, it's still in the same spot. So I'm using that to help me with understanding ball position as an upper body thing, which is paramount for you to appreciate. And we've done some stuff on that. If you're just joining us with other videos that you haven't seen, we've done a video on ball position being an upper body thing. Just make sure you go through what we've done and seek it out. But the other thing that I like to use this for is this. If we go into a down the line, sometimes what happens with people, let me take this, I'm going to lay this down here, okay? Sometimes what happens to people is the right knee or the trail knee, when it swings through, will kick out towards the strike line instead of moving parallel to the strike line. So when I'm looking at somebody's golf swing and they go like this, and I see a lot of space right in here, that typically is a bad thing. It will lead to a little early extension. It will lead to some fat or thin shots. It will lead to a poor club path and a poor club face. And so what I like to do, and this is again individually for me, is I like to remind myself that my trail knee is going to move along that line. So when I take this and I set it up for my knee, now I'm going to lean it in a little bit closer so that when I come in here, I feel like my knee is working inside that PVC pipe right there. So this would be just like that. And what happens is that my footwork tends to be a whole lot better, a whole lot more predictable. And what I end up getting is, believe it or not, that gives me a better hip rotation. How my knees work give me a little bit better hip rotation. And I'll show you why. Go down the line again, Gibbsy, if you would. If I take this knee and I go like that, what happens is that you start to early extend, and that freezes your hips. When my knee goes this way, what it does is it forces my lead leg to straighten out, and my hips now get into a much better rotation. So we go there, and now all of a sudden I've got much, much better rotation. The club is now working more in front of me, and you can see that golf ball starting right down the line. Go ahead and show that shot. It's starting right down the line that I'm trying to create. So that's what I'm doing with my practice station. Now, why is this important for you? Because when you go to work on something in your game, and let's just say that it's the simple stuff like pre-swing, and I'm going to show you what I mean about this because this is really important. And let's just say that in that pre-swing, what you're working on is you're working on balance. So what I want to have happen is that when I look down in the address position, what I want to have happen is I want the front edge of this grip, and you have to go down the line here. I want the front edge of the grip to be on this pipe right here. If I get to where I lean over too much and my hands get underneath, the front edge of that grip is inside that. And when I look at it from here, it looks like it's way inside of that. Or if I get set up too tall, and now I'm in here like this, the front edge of that grip is on that side of that pipe. And now all of a sudden, I'm not going to be able to swing the way that I want to swing. And so what I'm doing is I'm using this for distance to the ball. And so what I'll do is I'll lay this pipe down. So that gets laid down there. And then I'll actually make a line on this pipe. Go ahead down that line again. I might draw a line right on the pipe here and write 6-iron on that. And so that when my toes are the right distance from the ball, they're right on that line right there. So now I know, okay, this balance is right. That grip is right on that PVC pipe right there. And now I know, okay, this is going to be a pretty good swing. And it is. It starts out a little bit to the right, probably because I wasn't that focused on my alignment, but the motion was really good. The strike was very solid, right in the center of the club face. And I got a shot shape that I'm looking for, which is a little bit of a left to right movement. So what I'm doing is that I'm working on distance to the ball and posture. Now, why is that so important? So I want to show you something. One of the swings that I want you to see here is this. So yesterday, I was giving a golf lesson to an individual who came in with this posture right here. And when I see this posture here, I'm seeing the arms hanging. So I go middle of the grip, middle of the shoulder. They're hanging 9 degrees underneath them. And so when I see this, I'm like, okay, this is going to lead to some issues. And one of the things that this is going to lead to is a shorter swing, because now with the bend and the arms underneath, the body can't move efficiently. And when it can't move efficiently, now we have a little bit of a problem. So what do I expect to see here? I expect to see him do something for freedom. There are some people that will stand up as they start the backswing. There are some people that will fan go to a 5 here if you would, Gibbsy. Some people will spin the club like this to get that freedom. There are other people that will rock back either this way or they'll rock back this way. Both of those are detrimental to a successful motion. Okay. So this particular gentleman takes the club back. And what I want you to see is the club, when it gets taken back, it moves way outside. So basically what he says is the only way I can get free in this is create space out into a place where there's a ton of space. So I'm going to take the club and I'm going to go way out here like that. And when he goes way out there like that, now all of a sudden, that's the top of the swing right there. So that's as far back as that club is going to go. This happens to be an 8-iron, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. So that's as far back as that goes. But look at how little motion he got out of the lower body there. There's hardly any turn whatsoever. Now, what I did was this. I had him set up slightly differently. So now we're a little bit taller. Now the arms are sticking out a little bit. So remember, I told you before that the hands from the center to there, from the center of the shoulders to the center of the hands is about 9 degrees. And now I go center of the shoulders to center of the hands. And now what I have there is I've got them hanging out about 3 degrees. So I've altered that quite significantly. But also, too, what you can see is this. The height of his head right here is just at the top of the tree line. Over here, top of his head is way above the tree line there. Okay? Now, what that's going to do is it's going to allow him to do a lot of different things. It's going to give him freedom. But I want to show you what happens when he doesn't have the freedom. Takes the club back. So we're at the top of the swing, like I said before. Here's where his head is right there. And that's as far forward as it is. Now, watch what happens when he starts to bring the club down. Watch his head move away, move away, move away, move away, and then stand up. And now his head has gone back and up. And once it's gone back and up, let me go back to address. That's the top of his head. At impact, that's the top of his head. So his head has moved back and up. And now what happens is, look at the shaft of the golf club at impact. And when he came in, what I did was I looked at the wear out on his golf club. And I said, did you get fit? And he said, I did. And now I look at it, all the wear out is on the toe. And I go, okay, something's going on here with this swing to get a wear out on the toe. Typically, it's because club faces get open. He does actually open the club face, but he does it a little bit differently than others, because everybody's going to do it a little bit differently. And so that's where his shaft gets to. Now look at the starting position of the club shaft. Here's the starting position of the club shaft. So that club shaft is going from here to here in the swing. There's no way to be consistent in that. And the only The only place that you can strike the golf ball when you throw the toe in the ground is the toe. It's the only place you can hit it. So if you're hitting it out on the toe, chances are you're opening the club face in the backswing, and chances are from there that you're bent over a little bit too much at address. Chances are. So check that. If you're one of those individuals that's got toe hits, you go, man, I got toe hits. That's probably what's taking place. Okay. Now look at what happens here in this swing. So when he takes the club back, the club's going to still, and all I asked him to do now that he has freedom was to turn his trail hip to turn his trail shoulder. It's something that we actually talked about on A New Breed of Golf on Sirius XM, was the importance of getting the trail hip to turn so that the trail shoulder could move. And what happens is from here, he now takes the club outside. It doesn't go as far outside as it does over here. He takes the club outside here. You could see that the hosel and the head of the club are way on top of the golf ball. Here, not nearly quite so much. Okay? Now, watch what happens here. So here he goes to the top of his swing, and it's right about there. That's the top of his swing there. Watch the difference between this one now. So there's the top of his swing. Look at the space between the shoulder and his watch versus the shoulder and his watch. That's a significant amount. Look at how much of his lead thigh you can't see here, where how much you can see over here. It's a huge difference. And what ends up happening with this individual is his ball speed with an 8-iron went from about 100 miles an hour to about 109 or 110. That's a significant amount. He was hitting his 8-iron about 140 to 145, and now he's hitting his 8-iron about 155 yards. So it's 10 to 15 yards of added distance that he's getting with an 8-iron. Not even talking about the driver, with an 8-iron, just by altering posture. And posture creates a lot of problems. So that's what I did with that swing. Make sure you check your posture. Now, I want to go over to a couple other swings that we got. So let's go over here to Michelle. So here's Michelle's address position. And this looks really quite good. I like the address position. Let's make this a little bit bigger here. So there you go. So there's Michelle. Okay. And now when Michelle starts to take the club back, and I'm going to put a line right there on the front of her head, and I'm going to put a line right here on the hip. Now watch what she does. Oh, cameraman moved a little bit. So we'll put these lines back again. And now watch what she does. You see that right there? So this is an up and away to try to put this club into motion. Now, my guess is that this developed as a result of getting golf clubs that were too short for her at the very start. And the only way that she could initiate was to lift up and away. So we go down the line. So Michelle goes up and away to get things started. And all of a sudden, there's not a lot of rotation right there. So now we're going to have a lot of arms and hands working in this swing. And in effect, that's what happens. So she starts to go up and away, drags the club. So look at how much she swayed. Her head now is directly over her right foot. And at address, her head is beautifully positioned sort of in the middle of her stance. So she's swayed about a half a stance. And when that head gets over there, now it's going to be very difficult for the weight to transfer back. So let's see what she ends up doing here. So she's got a little, let me erase all those. So she slides back like this, shifts a lot, late turn. So you could see it almost looks like she's going to fall over just from that start. And now when she starts to go here, there's nothing to brace. The arm bends and breaks right there. Not ideal, but again, this is what happens because there's nothing in the supporting. She just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going because the hips haven't been able to brace and stop the motion because of all the sway that she had. So now she's over here. This knee has buckled out, which is not a great support. And now what she has to do is she's now going to be all in timing. So she now goes back to slide, 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 time, and go. And now what you see is you see the result of that movement in the arms and the bend of those arms as she's working through there. Because what's happened is the body has just moved so dramatically in that initial takeaway from the golf ball. Now, how do we solve that? So let's come over here. So now I'm going to take my PVC. I'm going to get set up here. And I'm going to put this right about there. Then I'm going to extend this out. So that's going to go to there. And now when I get set up, I want to make sure that this thigh doesn't hit this. So Michelle, what I would ask you to do is just, and you can do this with PVC pipe. You can do this with another thing. You can use an umbrella, just stab the umbrella into the ground. You can get a broken club shaft if you're inclined, and you can stab that into the ground. You can take a piece of PVC pipe like I've done, and you can build yourself a little contraption like this. But what you're going to do is you're going to use that swim noodle. And when you get set up, what I want you to do is I want you to do the bad, and then I want you to do the good. So the bad is slide off and hit it. The good is rotate away from it. So we get in here like this, and we start to feel what does rotate away from feel like? So I rotate like this. Boy, that feels really different. And now all of a sudden, I'm going to get a strike that's going to create a draw. What I would imagine, because I've seen these swings before, is Michelle's not really getting much of a draw. There's a lot of hold off, and there's a lot of scoop in there, and it's a lot of loss of power because of all that sliding and swaying that's going on. So what I want you to do is I want you to feel that trail hip rotating, feel that trail shoulder rotating, which is exactly what I told Dan to do, is feel that stuff rotate. So in here like this, rotate it like that so you can see. That's a great shot, Gibbsy, how that gap between my hip and this swim noodle is a certain distance, whatever that is, maybe 3-4 inches. And then when I go like this, now it opens up. We call it open up the gap. So there's the gap. And now we open up the gap. And now I go through. And again, nice clean strike. Ball starts where I want it. And there's no sway going on in that. So when I'm done at the top of my swing, my hip is inside of my foot. So the hip rotates there. Now you can see right down from the instep, inside of the hip, it's on the instep of the foot. And now I can push from here. Whereas if I slide out, let me move this out of the way. When I slide out over here, now in order for me to hit the ball, I'm going to have to slide back. And those are swings that are very timing related. In other words, you're going to have success when your tempo is good. And your tempo is going to be good when you're timing this. But there's going to be an awful lot of inconsistencies there. Okay? All right, let's take a peek at another swing before we open this all up. So let's go over to, let's see what Carson's got going on here. Okay? So here's Carson at address. All right, so this is all right, so what I see going on here is this club, when it's working back, you can see how closed that face is. So my guess is that, Carson, what you've got going on is you got a little stronger grip. And that stronger grip is going to create some, and I don't mind strong grips. You just have to understand the effects that it's going to have. So watch what happens through this swing, because when I have a strong grip and I don't have forearm rotation, which Carson doesn't have right here, now all of a sudden I'm going to tend to get a very shut face at the top. And when I have a shut face at the top, I've got to somehow manipulate this club either out to the push side to try to work with a draw, or I'm going to alter my body to try to get this thing up into the air. Okay? So here we go. So Carson takes the club back. Club face is really shut there. Now it's really shut. Wow. Now right there, that's where the club face is. That club face is pointing, if 12 o'clock is right here, that club face is pointing to about 11 o'clock right there. Look at how pinned his elbow is right here. That elbow is pinned. So now he's going to have to lift. He's going to have to do something. Something like this is not free. This is trapped. So let's see if he lifts. So we get a little bit of lift there, but not a tremendous amount. The club works across the line. And now we start to come down. Club face is shut, really shut right here. So let's see if he reroutes it underneath. Now he's starting to reroute underneath. You can see the head. Fascinating how the body works. The brain is just awesome. So now watch what happens. So when he starts to come down, watch him work away from this. Now he's backing out into some early extension. That ball, I think he hit it out on the toe. Yeah, he did. Look at how out on the toe he hits this. So it opens up the face. So now the ball's another toe hit. So this ball's starting out to the right, which is what he has to do. And now look at this. Whoa. So now he's gone into a severe arching of the back right there to try to get this ball up into the air because he's got so much face rotation through that. So this whole thing is a grip issue and then a forearm rotation issue. Okay. So what I tell you guys, and it's so important to understand. So many of these flaws start before the club is in motion. So you see how much of the top part of the forearm that you can see here, even the wrist. And that's because the grip is so strong. So let's go down the line here, if you would, Gibbsy. Then we're going to open this up to some questions. But what I want you to do here is I want you to take in the address position. I want you to get it so that trail arm, so with a really strong grip, you're going to look like this. And I want you to take that and I want you to settle that lead hand onto the grip in such a way as you make it look like, yeah, that's perfect. So just pull that up a little bit so it doesn't just go up a little bit more, a little more to the so I can see my head. There you go, right there, perfect. So right there, this right arm is blocking out the left arm. And now what's going to happen is now you can go to the other one. Just go. Now when I take this club up to the top, now the club face tends to hang toe down instead of being, it actually is like that. At the top of his swing, it's like that. And now from there, this thing is going to go so far to the left unless you do something to compensate. And what happens here with Carson is he arches back like this. And at some point, this is where you're going to hurt your back. And when you do that, all of a sudden you're not playing golf anymore. So what I would suggest is let's alter that address position. Let's alter the grip in such a way as we get a little bit more on the fingers of the hand, of the trail hand. So that trail hand is sitting on top so that the toe of the club can hang down a little bit more. And then from there, then we can work on covering the ball. Then from there, we can work on getting the club more in front of us instead of so behind us and having to swing out to the push side. Okay. All right, Gregory. Let's open it up to some questions.
All right. First from Steve. Hi, Michael. I am slicing my driver in fairway woods. I've spent the last 4 days on the range trying to move my path to an inside path with no success at all. Do you have any drills or ideas? Thanks in advance.
Okay. So what we have is we've got somebody that is slicing the driver. And then what we're doing to solve that slice in the driver is we're working on path. Okay. So one of the things that I try to advise people to do is to work on pre-swing before you work on in-swing. So if I'm slicing the driver, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell people, and I'm going to use the 6-iron here, to do exactly what I told Carson not to do. And that is, I want you to strengthen your grips. I want you to get your right hand and left hand more towards the trail shoulder. So you're here, and that's going to take care of the club face. The slice is a club face issue. It's not a path issue. Now, if you want to take your slice and make it a fade, separate issue. But if you're going to get rid of a slice, you got to get the club face in such a position so that when it comes to the ball, that it's square or closed, And all of a sudden now we're going to hit a shot that has a little bit of straight or draw movement to it. This one probably moved to the left it's 245 RPMs of left spin. And so if you look at the trace of that shot, that one started just on the right edge of the target and literally drew back to the middle of the target. That's a great shot. But all I did there was take the club and alter it in its relationship to my hand, and that had some effects on it. Okay? Now, if you are wanting to turn your fade into a draw, start with your grip. If you want to turn your slice into a fade, now what we have to do is we got to get the path of the golf club to start going across. This is a simple drill. What I like to do is this. So you take this PVC pipe and you put this thing right like this with that swim noodle. Now you can see that it's going over to the left. And now what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to make sure that when I come down, I'm swinging the path in that fashion there. So here, there. And all of a sudden what I get is I get a golf ball that starts down the left and then fades back to the right. And watch the shape of this shot. So stay there. You can see how that started to the left. Well, the reason why it starts to the left is this. Because I basically have put this blocker in here. Go down the line if you would. There you go. I put this blocker in here. So if I swing out, I'm going to hit it. So this is saying, okay, don't swing out. So now when I come down, I'm going to just ride right along the left-hand side there again. So just like this. And even though I hit that thin, watch where this one goes. Because this is going to start out to the left, and then it's going to spin back to the right after it finishes rolling. Look at that. That one there starts left and spins right. Terrible strike, but a great shape because I started it to the left and it spun back to the right. And that happened because I put this thing in there. It is something that can be intimidating, but you got to get used to it. And I don't care if you hit one that apexes at 11 feet off the ground or 111 feet off the ground. What I care about is that it starts to the left. And this will help you with that. So you just got to get used to swinging with the direction of that swim noodle. And then it starts out to the left, and then it fades over to the right-hand side. This one's not going to have as much fade as the one before. That only had 714 RPMs of right spin, and it started 5.5 degrees to the left-hand side. That's what those swim noodles can do. They can encourage you on path. But my recommendation is fix your grip first, and then you'll be able to hit the draw. You won't have to worry about that little drill. Okay, but that's the drill if you're going to turn that slice into a fade. All right, Gregory.
Okay, this one from Bob. It seems when playing par threes that my tee shots seem to tail off at the end. I'm a right-handed golfer, and I've tried rolling my left hand so I see more knuckles of the club before I swing.
Okay, so this is great because basically what Rob has said is this. Rob or Bob?
Bob.
So this is what Bob has said. Bob has said is, look, I tried to do what you said. I tried to change this at address, and it didn't work. Okay, so now we know we have an in-swing thing. So now here's the way I do this. I always try to solve in-swing motion when the club is moving its slowest, and that's in the backswing. So I don't want you to try to flip the face here. What I want you to do is I want you to realize that somehow the face got open in the backswing. And so what I want to do is I want to make sure the face doesn't get open in the backswing. Then I don't have to worry about trying to close it in the downswing. Okay. So what that means is this: when we get set up, what I want you to do down the line, if you would, Gibbsy, what I want you to do is when you take the club back, I want you to feel like the club face is going to point to the ground. And when the club face points to the ground, now go face on here. What you can see is my right arm, this arm here, is way on top of my left. If I rolled it, you could see that would be different. When I go here, look at the gap between my forearms, club face down. When I go here, now all of a sudden there's no gap, club face wide open. So what I want you to do is I want you to feel that your right hand or your trail hand is staying on top of that lead hand. That's going to close the face right there. And then from there, Now I'm going to hit a shot, and that golf ball is now going to start down the line and do what I want it to do. It's not going to turn over. Now, if I overdo it, now all of a sudden, that's when you're going to start to get a hook. So now this time I'm going to really overdo this. So I'm going to get here like this. The club's going to get up here like this. I'm going to feel this club face get closed. So we go here, here, and all of a sudden now, when I hit that shot, now it's a whole lot stronger, but it's a whole lot more left. So this ball is going to jump out with 250 RPMs of left spin. It started 2 degrees to the left, and you can see by the trace of that that golf ball spun to the left-hand side. It started to the left as well. That tells you how I know. That tells you that I know now that the face is closed. That will tell you that you know that the face is closed. So what you're going to do is you're going to get control of the face right here from the start to what we call first parallel. This club goes back, faces to the ground. Then you get control at the top. Then you're going to come through with a what in effect is a closed face, and that golf ball is going to zip off to the pull side. Okay. All right. Well done.
All right. This one from William, who says, thank you for your support of the military. He was a Navy submariner. Yeah.
William, thank you for your service.
And I second that, William. Good morning. I see you're using the swim noodle to ensure your backswing is not coming from the inside. What is your downswing or transition position in relation to that swim noodle? Remember that was from a little earlier when this thing was set up?
Yeah. Okay. So I will tell you how that works. I don't think I saved any of these, but I might have had one. This is one from, that's not going to work. You know what I'm going to do? I was going to try to save some time, but you know what? It's not going to work. So I'm going to do this like this and like that. I'm going to put the swim noodle right in here again. Slide that into here. And then set this up like that. And then record it. Well, I actually got to check it. Can you give me down the line there, Gibbsy? So what I'm looking for when I do this is I want to make sure that the bottom part of the grip is on the top part of that swim noodle right there. So that's going to be pretty close. So this will be close enough. So now let's see what happens here. So when I take this club back, I'm going to feel like I'm above that thing. And now I come down, and now I get the shot that I'm trying to hit, which is a little butter cut. Now, watch what happens here. So now here's my shaft plane. Now, what you want to understand, when I'm working on my swing, I am trying to hit cuts. Gibbsy, will you show them the shot shape of that? So you can see that ball starts to the left and it moves towards the target. That's the shot I'm trying to hit. So my swing is going to be reflective of the shot shape that I'm trying to create. And when you are thinking about like the alterations to your swing, you got to understand that your swing has to be a reflection of the shape of the shot you're trying to hit. If I'm going to lightly toss a ball to you, I'm going to do this. If I'm going to throw a ball a far distance, now I'm going to do this. But I would never, like if I'm playing second base and I field the ball towards first and I'm, 8 feet from them, I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to toss it like to the first baseman that way. I'm not going to wind up like this and throw it as fast as I can. The first baseman's never going to have enough time to react to the ball to catch it. Same thing is true here. I'm trying to hit a cut. So what are we going to see out of this? You're going to see the golf club stay on that shot. You see how it tracks that yellow line going all the way back? That's what I'm trying to do. I want to keep that on that yellow line. Goes all the way back up to the top here like this. Now, when I come down into this, I want the club head to be on top of the yellow line because I'm trying to hit a cut. If I was trying to hit a draw, I would have it underneath. And then I would position this quite a bit differently so that the club could work underneath. Because right now, the club works underneath. It's going to bash into this swim noodle. So what you're going to see is that the head of that golf club is going to be above the shaft plane line. So I miss the swim noodle. And now I come back, I get on the shaft plane line late, and now it matches up beautifully, if not even underneath. And then the ball starts the way I want it to go. So what I'm doing in my swing, what I'm trying to do in my swing is I'm trying to hit a cut. Every single shot is an effort to hit a cut shot. And so when I set up my stuff, it's to make sure that I'm hitting a cut shot. That club has to be over the top of that swim noodle. If I was trying to hit a draw, I would do something quite a bit different. Okay. All right.
Okay, this one from MJ. At address, I'm wondering whether the left hand should be a little cupped or straight. Similarly, at the end of the backswing, should it be flat or bowed? And that's for a right-handed player.
So this is the hard part, right? So I'm going to actually set all this stuff in a different way so that we can hit balls and not worry about it. So first of all, I don't really ever like a cupped. I don't like a cupped lead wrist. I think there are some people through time that have played good golf with a cupped lead wrist. That left hand at the top of the swing has a little bit of a cup in it. There have been people that have played successfully that way. But what you see now out of the modern player is this. Does it have to be like that for you? No, but I certainly want it to be square. I want it to be flat. I want this to be a straight line from the knuckles going all the way down to the elbow. That's what I want to try to see. So when you take the club at address, you may have a little cup in that wrist in a face-on view there, Gibbsy. You may have a little cup in that wrist, but when that goes into the backswing, you're gonna lose that. And then certainly when we come into the strike, and that would be face-on again, the strike, the handle has to be forward of the head. And what that does is that puts a little bow in that wrist. And now all of a sudden I'm in that fashion there. I'm in that position there. So that's going to help with launching that ball out a little bit lower. And also too, I don't have to worry about spinning the shaft. Now what I'm going to get is I'm going to get a ball that's going to kind of track on the line that I want. This one had a little bit of a draw because when I'm doing that, I'm leaning that so much I actually shut the face. But that one launched at about 19. Not a bad shot. So what I would tell you is this. If you want to start with cup in the wrist at address, that's fine. I don't have any problem with it. A lot of people do it, particularly shot dependent. But when you get to the top, I want that cup to be gone, and I want that cup to be out all the way through the strike. Once you get past the strike, now the release will be, again, shot related, shot dependent. Okay? All right.
All right. This one from Tidal Wave 1. I hit my driver straight or with a slight draw.
Awesome.
However, with my 3-wood, the tendency is a more severe draw. What could be the cause of that? My grip is neutral.
Okay. Now, this is one where Tidal Wave, I'm going to need you to get back to me because there's one question that kind of hangs in the balance. Greg, I'm going to ask you, what's the question that hangs in the balance when an individual is driving the ball really, really well, and then their 3-wood is not cooperating? What's the question that you wonder?
Did you get fit for your 3-wood?
Did you get fit for your club? And so the question is, Tidal Wave, did you get fit for your club? And if you didn't get fit for your club, well, then there's a problem there. If you did get fit for your club, well, maybe the fit was wrong, but it could possibly be that the club is not the right club for you.
He was fit for them.
He was fit. Okay, terrific. So now what would cause this thing to hook a little bit more? There are a couple little different things. One would be that when you're hitting this driver, and again, these are hard. This was a hard one to know because when you're starting to get that, are you getting a little bit more of a pull, right? So what happens when you're hitting your driver is that you might be hitting up on it a little bit more. You might be doing a couple of little different things, and all of a sudden the shoulders at address are a little slightly more upward, right? With a 3-wood, you might have that ball a little bit more forward, but your shoulders are not tilted correctly. And now all of a sudden you level out your shoulders. And when you swing from there, you get what we would call a pull draw, which could, for many, look like a bit of a hook. What I would recommend doing is a very simple thing. And that would be this. And I'm not kidding you. I'm serious when I say this. I would love to hear the result of what I'm about to tell you. Okay. But what I would suggest doing is move the ball position back, because what that's going to do is that's going to take your shoulders, it's going to close them a bit, right? So imagine my ball position being way up there like that with my 3-wood. Now, it shouldn't be in the same position as the driver, but go down the line here, Gibbsy. In order for me to get there to that club, now my shoulders are way open to that ball position with this club. Now my shoulders are way open. Well, now if I take this ball and I move this back here, and now I get to where I'm going to hit that ball, now all of a sudden my shoulders are closed. And so by moving the ball back, what you're in effect doing, believe it or not, is you're altering the aim of your shoulders, the alignment of your shoulders with the hips and the knees and the feet. But the aim of the shoulders is more out to the right. So the path of the club might be more out to the right. And when that path gets more out to the right, now the club face opens up just a little bit. And all of a sudden you start hitting a draw. It's not going to be a low shot, believe it or not. It actually probably goes a little bit higher. So what I would suggest to you is, and great job getting fit for that 3-wood and the driver as well, I would move your ball position back. A lot of times people play driver a little too far forward, and many times they do the same thing with the 3-wood, and that can result in either pull draws or obviously major slices. You don't have a problem with the club face, so probably a better player. Just move that ball position back a little bit. Okay, MJ? All right.
And this one from SH. Can you talk about how to eliminate the chicken wing and what it means to release the club?
Okay. So a chicken wing, you know what? Let me go back over here. I'll show you something. So if I go into this and I go into this with Michelle, and then I go to here, this is a chicken wing right here. What Michelle has going on with that, with those lead arm, with her lead arm, she gets a chicken wing. And what that typically, the cause of that is the body has stopped rotating. So if I go here and I take Michelle and I put her at impact, which is right about there, her body doesn't really have the full rotation that I'm looking for out of that shot there. She's more closer to that position there. And so what causes that? The body not rotating properly. Okay. Now, how do we get rid of the chicken wing? So there's a lot of different ways to do this, but the simplest way to do this is this. You just get a head cover. You put a head cover under your lead arm, right? Like that. And I don't fire it way up in your armpit. You just keep it here. And then what I want you to do is I want you to just swing with just your lead arm, just like this. And what you're going to see is, in order for me to keep that head cover in there, my forearm has to rotate. So when it comes through and my body rotates, my forearm rotates, the club goes like this, and now my elbow is down and I can hinge it up that way. Okay, so if I swung towards you and I rotated this like this, now my elbow is down. Now I can hinge this up like that. What happens is that if I let this come out and my elbow escapes my body like this, now I'm going to be in here like this, and that's when I'm going to get a little bit of a chicken wing. Okay, so what I like to see happen is I like to see that connection to the lead side, lead arm to the lead side. I like to see that connection, and then the body rotates through and the elbow, lead elbow, stays down. So here and there. Now, is that a release? It's a releasing of the body that allows the arms to kind of move with the body, right? So it would be almost like a Jimmy Ballard move where you would be here, and the arms and the hands are staying in that same position. So at address, my elbows are there. I can hinge them up. I can hinge the club up very easily. So what I'm doing is I'm turning over here like this, and I'm hinging the club up very easily. The chicken wing is going to come when the arms start out racing the body, because the body has stopped moving. So you got to make sure the body is moving, and you got to make sure that lead elbow is staying attached to the side. And then from there, you can fold the club up nicely. That little drill I know is going to help you. I've used it a lot. It's definitely a helper. Okay.
Okay. This one from Ricky. I am a 5 handicap and a long hitter with every club, but I'm struggling with the 4-iron. I usually don't hit it any farther than my 5-iron. When I do hit it solid, it's a pull draw or a hook. Do you have any suggestions?
Okay. It's a pull draw or a hook with the 4-iron. So I'm assuming I go back to the same thing again. Did you get fit? Right. And the answer to that is I don't really know. But I go back to the pre-swing stuff, right? So the pre-swing stuff is in my 4-iron, I have a mixed set. So I've got the 505 from Titleist. This is not, I'm a T100 iron player, but I go to the 505 with the long iron because the 4-iron is a difficult club to get up into the air, and the 3-iron's even harder because there's just not a lot of loft. So what I think is happening is your club face at address is shut. That's what I think is happening. There's a fine line between what the face and what the top line is, what they look like with these longer irons. And so what I would do is I would take the same thing that I did early on. I would take this, I would fold this thing back down, and I would make sure that leading edge is parallel to that. And what that's going to look like, it gives you, I don't know if you can get a close-up of that shot. What that's going to look like probably is your 4-iron is open because you're probably like that. And it's not a tremendous amount of difference. The difference between that and that is not a lot. You can see that. That's just a little bit of turn. But that could be the difference between a 4-iron that's a good shot and a 4-iron that's a bad shot. So what I like to do, again, I like to go back to, okay, get my address position the way I want it. That club face is more or less square to that PVC pipe. And now, as long as this goes up in the air and doesn't hook, I'm going to be pretty happy. So this one goes up into the air. It has my little patented little fade, which I'm a big fan of. But all of a sudden, that ball got up into the air. The apex of that was 95 feet. So I might have tried to maybe fan that open a little bit more at address just to make sure that it didn't hook. But the point is that solve the problem at address. I'm telling you, give that a try, and then just get back to me and let me know if that helped you or not. And if it didn't, then here's what I want you to do. What I want you to do is send a video to me with that 4-iron and let me see what's going on. Because I'm almost certain that at address, you've got that 4-iron in a slightly closed position. That's why it wouldn't go up in the air. That's why it would be a hook. And that's why it's probably not a lot of fun to hit. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. This one from RK. Hello. I have a problem with consistency while practicing. What are drills or practice or what's a practice routine that I should do to practice consistency?
Okay. So this would be one thing that I would tell you to do in your drill. And lack of consistency is a funny thing because, there's a consistency in all inconsistencies, right? If you're constantly inconsistent, then there's a consistency in that. So what I would recommend is that there's probably some inconsistencies in how you're setting up to the ball. So the dance step is one of the things that I want to share with you here, and that's this. So pull it full if you would, Gibbsy. So what I like to do is when I lay this down on the ground, I like to make sure that when I'm coming into the ball, that the instep of my foot and my club face are parallel. So I like to come in like this, work on this, getting in here so that my ball position is the same. So I come in there with that foot. I then bring this other foot up like this, and then I drop this foot back like that. So what I work on is I work on going in, up, back. In, up, back. And when I start to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to get this to be just a little bit more than a club head when I come there. So in, there. Measure it up, a little more than a club head. Okay, that was good. So in, okay, that one not quite as good. So here, okay, that's a little bit too big. So I made one that was a little thin and made one that was a little bit thick. So now we come in here again. Okay, that's very good there. Okay, and so then we just keep doing that. Now all of a sudden what I'm doing is I'm getting a consistent ball position. So when I come in here, make sure my club face is square. I do my little dance step. Now I've got a consistent ball position, a consistent weight distribution. And now I make that swing. And this is a very, very consistent strike. This has the shot that I'm looking for. It started left of the target. Go ahead and show that trace. So it started on the left edge of the target. It faded back to the target just like I wanted. The club head speed, the ball speed, the apex, the everything. Those are all very, very good. And that's very, very consistent. Now, I wasn't trying to hit that as hard as I could, but I was trying to hit that with a shot shape in mind. So normal ball speed for me with my 6-iron is about 117, 118. It's gotten a little faster. Okay, so that's down to about 115. So my overall distance is a little bit short. My apex is a little under because it doesn't quite have the speed. But my launch angle at 17.5, I'm right in between my number, which is 17 and 19. The backspin number over there at 5,700, very, very good. And my side spin, about 234 RPMs of right spin. As long as I'm under 500, I'm very happy with that shot. So that shot, very easy to chase, and that's consistency. So that little dance step, making sure my club face is in the right spot, all those little moves that I'm doing, those are all the things that are going to allow you to have consistency, and it's all before you put the club into motion. Okay? All right, go ahead.
All right, this one from Sharshan, who asked the question. I haven't played in a while, but I've been focusing when I've been practicing on my grip pressure. I went out to play for the very first time last week, and I had one of my best ball striking rounds ever. Is the grip pressure an epiphany, or is this just a coincidence?
I think that we talk about the consistency that we just discussed a second ago. Grip pressure to me is finding the grip pressure that allows you to play your best. So the epiphany is, hey, I found the grip pressure that works for me. Is that grip pressure a 4? Is it an 8? Whatever it is, it has to be the same every single club, every single shot for all the time that you play. I'm more of a like a 7.5, 8 grip pressure. If your grip pressure is a 5, wonderful. Everybody's grip pressure can be different. It just has to be the same on every club. It would be bad for me if I gripped at a 3. It would also be bad for me if I gripped at a 10. The 7.5 to 8, that works for me. I have to play that way. I don't want to see this thing hook. And in my mind, for whatever reason, if I go to a lighter grip pressure, club face is going to flip over in my mind and I'm going to hit hooks. And I do. So when I go to tighter grip pressure, it doesn't happen for me. And the same thing is true for you. You got to find the grip pressure that works for you and then stick with it. Okay? All right.
This one from Scott. If I want to get a steeper angle of approach when it comes to my pitching motion, what should I do with my ball position? I want to hit the ball and then the ground. How does that affect what I do with my ball position in pitching?
Okay, so let me get a little pitch here. So if I want to hit a pitch shot and I want to move the low point forward, there's a couple of things that you can do that, right? One of the things that you can do to do that is simply just lean into that lead leg and then feel like this lead knee in the backswing is moving straight that way. I don't want it to move this way. I want it to move straight towards here, right? So what I might do is, I don't even know if I can do this. Let's do it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this here. Okay. Now I'm going to set up so that my lead knee is right in line with that pipe. And when I take the club back, I want that lead knee to go right towards there. So I'm going to go lean up here, let this go that way, and then go like that. And what that's going to do is that's going to steepen my angle of attack and move it forward. I like to think that if my knee stays where it is and it's just moving that way, I'm not really going to alter my low point. So in here like this, lean over there, move that there, and now I'm going to come right through. Try it again. So here, let it go in there like that in the backswing. So here and then there. And all of a sudden now, look at where my weight distribution is. See how forward that is? It never once got back here. It stayed up on this. I pivoted on this post right here and then right there. And now all of a sudden, I'm pivoting over this post, not this post or this post. Okay? That's what I would tell you to do.
Okay, this one is from Kathy. Last week, you were discussing how to hit which shot around the green. You talked about, can I spin the ball? Can I hit the ball high in the air?
Yeah.
You picked. You talked about a lot of information in a short period of time. Can you go over some of these details in that decision process again?
Okay. So, yeah. So this is how you approach a certain shot. So, hey, Greg, do me a favor. Just zip over to the short game area, the wedge range, and give me let's deal with a 30-yard shot. Okay. So what Kathy is asking, that's awesome. I mean, literally, he just got Gibbsy, pull that full. He just got from our range to the short game range in literally like clicking three things. It's phenomenal. And we appreciate all the work that About Golf, the simulator that we worked with. I've been with About Golf for almost 15 years, over 15 years. And they're the best simulator company out there. If you're in the simulator business, I'm just telling you, there's none better. There's a lot of reasons why, but there's none better. About Golf is the best. And being able to navigate it is really, really simple. So here we go. So we got a 30-yard shot. Now, when you're hitting a shot, a short shot, you have to ask yourself whether you can spin the ball and whether you have unlimited control over your trajectory. So trajectory and spin, that's the first thing. Can I spin this? Can I hit with trajectory? And then the next question is, do you need spin? Do you need trajectory? So if in this situation, I can spin it or not. I can hit it high or I can hit it low. So I can get in here with this shot. I can hit a low little trap shot and let that kind of go at my target. Don't go in. Wow. Okay. So I can do that. I can set in there, hit any shot I want there. That one there launched at about 26 degrees. It had 9-foot apex, 4,900 RPM of spin. Now, let's just say for the sake of argument that I didn't have that shot available. Maybe there wasn't enough fairway or enough green to work with. I needed to hit this up into the air. Well, now all of a sudden I got to create some trajectory. Do I need spin? Maybe, maybe not. So now I open up the face and now I hit a shot that's got a lot more trajectory. It doesn't roll out quite as far. Okay. So that one there went 12 feet high. It launched at about 33 degrees and it only rolled 4 feet. And the spin went up to 6,180, call it 6,200, right? So that was a highly effective shot, but a different shot than the shot that I had before. And then if I need to really create some trajectory, now this is a 53 degree wedge. Now what I might do from here is go over and grab my 58 degree wedge. And now with a 58 degree wedge, face is a little open. Now I'm hitting that shot. And now all of a sudden, spin rate goes to 73.29. So that goes up. Launch angle went up to almost 40 degrees. And this ball only rolled out 2 yards. It flew 20, let's call it 26, and it rolled out to 28. And the apex then climbed again to 18 feet. So all I did there was I just grabbed a different club, one that had some loft to it. Spin rate is going to go up as I get a little bit more loft because I have to swing a little harder to make it go a little farther. Now, if I need to put more spin on it, there are things that I need to do in order for me to create that. But honestly, there's never a time, I mean, that you, not Kathy, but somebody else, that you're playing where you need to have, less than two yards of rollout. If you're playing a golf course where you only have 3 yards of green to work with, you're playing a tour event. That's what you're doing. You're playing an LPGA or a PGA tour event because they nudge those things up to the edge. But for the most part, you're playing with about 15 feet. Most places, you might get 12. Most places are going to give you 15 feet. And at 15 feet, that's 5 yards. So if that thing's only rolling out 2 yards, you're going to be fine. So, which brings, you know, the other point is the golf ball that you play. I think that's a really, really important part of being able to predict the trajectory of the shot and the spin of the shot. I use a Pro V1X that spins a little bit more for me than the Pro V1. I don't know. It's just me, my technique. But what I can tell you is this, and this goes to Kathy's question. When you approach a situation, you ask yourself, can I spin this? Can I hit this with a lot of trajectory? And then the second question is, do I need to hit this with a lot of spin? Do I need to hit this with a lot of trajectory? When you don't have a lot of spin as a possibility, you need trajectory. And I will tell you that if you get to where you need trajectory, that's a simple game, but it really depends on the lie. There are times where the ball might be on hard pan. You don't have trajectory as an option, and spin might not even be something that you can create. And at that point, you now have to be able to put as much spin as you can and as much trajectory as you can, and still be able to stop the ball within that 5 yard space. So you start with, simplistically said, can I hit it high? Can I spin it? Do I need to hit it high? Do I need to spin it? And then from there, that helps you with your club selection and the shot that you're going to hit. Okay. All right. Let's take one more question.
Okay. This one from Scott. I tend to pull my short irons, 8-iron, 9-iron, and pitching wedge, but not my other wedges. I often miss the greens on the left, which is very frustrating. Typically strike the ball cleanly, but I suspect I'm swinging with a path that's too much out to in with these clubs. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah.
And how I might overcome this tendency?
Yeah. So this in a sort of coincidental way kind of brings us back to where we first started, which is weight distribution on the toes. Because what happens to a lot of people when they get these shorter clubs is they grip down so much that they don't really turn their body correctly. Okay. So what I would tell you is chances are you're bending over a little bit too much, and that's freezing the amount of rotation that you get in your body. So what I would tell you, move the ball back, try to stand a little bit taller. So we get in here, we try to stand a little bit taller. And then with those clubs that you're pulling, 8-iron, I think you said 9-iron and wedge. I think that's what you said. What I want you to do is I want you to really feel this trail shoulder get deep. So when you turn back, you're feeling that trail shoulder getting way back there. And then when that starts to happen, what you're going to see is, oh, I didn't even wait for that to get into the green. My fault. So is that in the green there? Yeah. So now when we get into here, now I make this turn, and now the ball is going to start out to the push side, and I'm going to be able to hit a slight little draw. It's going to go, and that one there started, well, you can see it started a little bit to the right, and then it turned over to the left-hand side. Move that ball back a little bit, stand up a little bit taller, and then feel that trail shoulder turn, and you'll solve that problem. Okay. All right. So listen, so first, thank you all so much for joining us. Please tell your friends about what we're doing over here. As I said, we are the little train that could. We're at 40,500. We're trying to get to 100,000 followers or more, and we need you to help us. So please subscribe to the channel. If you don't already, please tell your friends about what we're doing. Get them to subscribe to the channel. We're really trying to bring to you what I was able to bring to golf instruction for many years with the Golf Fix. Live golf instruction that's interactive. We don't have any of that anymore, and I think it's really, really important. Also, too, bringing it to you on a Thursday, it allows you to get yourself ready for the weekend, and we, as always, appreciate you joining us today. I want to remind you, too, about the poker chip, the hats, and, of course, the putter covers. If you're so inclined, we've got 5 different poker chips. They're $6. Send an email to me at anewbreedofgolf@michaelbreed.com. Also, too, the hats that we've got and the putter covers. We've got lefties, righties. We've got center shaft, heel shafted, and then also, too, the mallet and the blade. So we've got all of them that can work for you, whatever kind of putter that you've got. Now, what I also want to do is I want to say a special thank you to my friends, Steve Gibbs and Greg Ducharme, for all their hard work. And
you don't want to go back to that one. Okay.
Okay. All right. These guys are a chocolate mess. We're going to take another week and we're going to work on that thing. We might even have practice. I think there's going to be a Friday night practice. We're going to work on that and then get again maybe on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Got to do it closer so you guys don't forget, closer to Thursday. One other thing I want to tell you. So I am going to be on vacation next week. I'm getting a chance to take my family over to Wimbledon. So we will not have a show next week, but we will have content that we're putting up. So make sure that you look for the content. We did a really nice tape segment on the practice station. So give you an idea of how to do that. If you're so inclined and you want to know how I built that, send an email to me and I'll help you out with understanding how to do that. You got to go to Lowe's. Unfortunately, Home Depot doesn't have the piece that is required for all this to work. But we will have content that we'll be releasing. Unfortunately, we won't be doing a New Breed of Golf live next week, but we will be doing a New Breed of Golf on Sirius XM tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. There's obviously some great golf that's being played out there at the Rocket Mortgage. We'll talk about some of that also too. We'll continue our instructional conversation. So if you've got some questions that we were unable to get to today, make sure you call in to the show tomorrow. But in the meantime, I hope everybody has a great afternoon and has a wonderful night, and we'll see you in the morning on Sirius XM. Thank you.